Happy Monday. How are we all today?
Great.
I'm good.
I'm doing great.
Great.
Happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So the League of Excellent and Extraordinary Negroes, we have a special event today, Blerd Girl Conversations, conversations with women of color who are nerds and blerds in this world. And my first question, oh no, I got to ask you who you are. Okay. I mean, I feel like everybody knows who you all are.
Coming in.
But I'm going to start with Regina and then go around and you just tell people your name and anything you want to share.
Hi, I'm Regina, and I'm really excited about this conversation today. I've literally been looking forward to this for since the day you told me about it. So
awesome. Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia, aka the Last Starfighter. Always my house name. Whenever I come and see you guys. And I am a board member for the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls. And I love it. Always glad to come on.
Yay. Thank you. Starla.
I'm Starla, and some of you may know me from Our Family Plays Games. We have a podcast, or should I say a video channel on YouTube, and we talk about board games and the ones we love. Yeah.
So this is the lovely wife, Starla.
Yes, if you guys know my husband.
Our friend, Nikki.
That's all I can say. That's all I can say.
Great. Steph?
We love you both. And I just ordered my new Our Family Plays Game shirt last week, so I can't wait to get it.
Thank
so
you for support. Thank you.
No co-op. I am, see, I feel like I know you. I am Stephanie, and I am super excited to be on the call with some people's, how do I want to say it? I appreciate and respect the opinions of the people on this call today. And I'm really excited about just being in fellowship and community with you all today.
Awesome.
Yay. Thanks, Steph. Yeah. And our resident philosopher, Carla Stillwell.
Carla Stillwell, resident philosopher, cultural historian for Black Joy, playwright. I am the executive director of the Stillwell Institute for Contemporary Black Art. And anytime we get a chance to talk to brown girls about nerdy things, I'm super excited because I didn't even know I was a nerd. I was just in theater. I'm like, oh, it's a place for me in the world.
Yep, you are. It's okay.
Yeah, little geeky.
Just a little bit. Okay, so my first question, you can answer in any order. Yesterday was Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. So for you, so there's grandmother, mother, and aunt. Mm-hmm. What do you use? For me, it was grandma. I don't think there was a D in there. It was just grandma. Mm-hmm. And it's mama. Mm-hmm. And on my mother's side, they're all aunts. Mm-hmm. On my father's side, they're all aunts.
Oh,
that is so real.
Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah. I see.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask a clarifying question? Are we spelling mama M-A-M-A or M-O-M-M-A? Like that matters? I'm just asking a question.
Wow.
Well, wow. I feel like when I say it, it's mama. So however that is spelled, I know it's not M-A-M-A. So mama. So I don't know. Is there H in there? Is there another O?
I never know how to spell it when I'm saying it.
Yeah.
There are extra syllables in there. So
now in my family, it was my mother's side, it was nanny. On my father's side, it was grandma. My mother was mommy, and we're not a mixed family. It's auntie over here on all sides.
Okay. And that's Chicago.
Yes, Chicago. Okay. Well, up Mississippi is what I like to call Chicago. It's actually up Mississippi. So
Got it.
yes.
Because that
So we
makes a
are
difference.
aunties. Yeah.
Yes. Because all of my aunts are born in Arkansas.
Yeah,
All of my
and so that's
aunts.
me too. My family is Texas, but by way of Arkansas. So in
Mm.
my family, it's Aunt Bobby, Aunt Teresa, it's Aunt,
Mhm,
AINT.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
but but it's Mama, Mommy. It's always Grandma. Yeah, there's no D in that. It's GRANMA. There's no D. So I mean, but my family comes from Arkansas. Mhm.
We cousins. Look at
Mhm.
that.
Yep. Yep.
All my people are from Georgia, and yet my dad's side are Aunt Freddie. Yeah, aunts.
Mhm.
I don't even know how I say it, but that's how I
Mhm.
say it. When I call
Yep.
them, I know what's up. And my mom's side are aunts, and I don't really know how that happened. I don't know why. They're all from rural Georgia.
Mm.
My mom is mom with like various levels, like the
Yeah.
pitch changes, but it's always mom because that's my boo.
Mhm.
And grandma, I think I have a D in there for some pretentious reason, but like it wasn't necessary. So I'm recognizing that it was pretentious for no reason. But then my dad's side is granny. See, I don't know. One just got more rural and more country for some reason, for no reason. I don't know.
Interesting.
All of mine were ants, like sounded like ANTS, ants, and that's how they were pronounced. We there, and my mom is just mom or ma. I call her ma a lot. Depending on the mood, depending on how she answers the phone. Sometimes I like to get fancy with her and call her mother just to make her crazy. But most of the time it's just ma. And then aunts. And then I had a great aunt that didn't speak any English. And everyone called her Tia, but I didn't know her. I met her a few times. I met her when she made tamales. It was amazing. I miss those a lot. But otherwise, it was all aunts. That's on both sides.
All right. Julia?
Is Julia still there? I think she's frozen. Oh, there she is.
Yeah,
She's unpacking.
you know, I'm gonna cry foul on the conversation. Like it's triggering. This is like the first Mother's Day without my mother. It's been a while since she passed away, but without my grandmother, and now without my godmother, and without my aunts. So I really was watching Star Trek all day on Sunday, just in my feels. But my mother, I called Ima, which is Hebrew for mom. And aunties, of course, aunts or aunties. And my mother had my nieces call her Nana. She didn't like grandma or grandmother, so it was Nana. And then my grandmother was Mother Dear.
Ooh.
Oh, I was waiting for a Mud Dear to show up.
That's lovely.
Yes, all from the South, all from Texas, mom and dad.
My dear.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Jade, I feel like we got to slide into the self-care question because I feel like Julia just told us, like when it's like yesterday was hard, and so she had to Star Wars. Just kidding, I know it's Star Trek. I'm playing with you. I'm playing with you. It was a joke. My bad.
But you know what? I'm one of those who loves both. Like I will get down with Star Wars, but I did not like Phantom Menace. Like I did not like Anakin. Like we had our issues. I like Darth Vader. I don't like the struggling Anakin.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's always when I want to feel good, it is Star Trek: The Next Generation. So I can learn from Picard all my leadership lessons that I need.
So my self-care question was, what do you do for yourself? And does your self-care ritual ever merge with your nerddom? So Julia,
Always. Always. What you talking about? And if I'm like in the mood to relax but don't want to, get all up into it, I'll watch Voyager. If I need to, study or something, I'll watch DS9.
Okay.
That's
Anybody
my
else?
life.
Now, Julia made me think about my background TV just now, and that's one of the things. Buffy, Angel, those are that's my background. Like I will go if I'm writing something or working on something. Those are two of my go-to. The First Charmed. Those are my go-to background TV series when I need to like focus on some other stuff, but I need to see somebody get smoked with magic. Like,
so are you saying, Carla, you didn't like the Charmed reboot?
I didn't even watch it. I have no opinion about Charmed reboot.
It wasn't good.
Any of it. Huh?
It wasn't good.
I don't need that in my life. I don't need that kind of negativity.
And neither is the Craft remake. Like both in the same vein.
Oh yeah, Craft remake. No,
that was trash. That was a trash bag.
Yeah, you can't mess with that.
No, you cannot. I was upset by that show.
Jay, you got to get with it.
I'm sorry, I've never seen any of these shows.
Get out of the experience. Like if you have not, I remember. Okay, so I used to have a column in the Omaha World Herald, and when Buffy had sex with Angel, I crazily had the idea for a new column and said, "Is there too much sex on TV?" And it landed on the cover of the living section, and I never got laid in high school. Like never. No sex. It wasn't happening. Like I killed it. It died. It's like that time when I talked about Lorena Bobbitt in college, and like it just didn't go well. None of it. It's all bad. It's all bad.
Oh my God.
This is why I was excited for this conversation right here. Right here.
I'm totally thinking about something else. You said self-care. I don't know how we got into that.
It was my inappropriate follow-up question.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about getting a pedicure. I'm like, oh, okay, self-care. I go get a pedicure. I'm thinking about something totally different.
Oh, so Starla,
10 minutes in, ladies and gentlemen. 10 minutes.
So what is your self-care ritual? And does that ever meet with those games that you play?
Well, for me, I have to get away from my guys because they work my nerve. I mean, like this, for the weekend, I went to get a pedicure, and it was just great to get away, have them take care of my feet. I would love to get my nails done, but because of the work that I do, I really can't type with nails. So, and everything I do is typing and then playing games. I can't pick up the pieces, so I don't do my nails, but I love a pedicure. And then the other self-care is, you guys know, we're on this eating regimen. So, and that does merge with the hobby because the hobby is so sedentary. You're always sitting and you don't get a chance to really do a lot. So to eat well helps us because we were going down the wrong path. I mean, we were playing games and I'm sitting here cooking because I like to cook. So I'm cooking pies and cakes and, baking up stuff and smothered this and smothered that because I'm from Texas. So, so that was not working with the hobby because we're just gaining weight and not being healthy. And I am diabetic. So I'm so happy that we got on this new eating regimen, that we're getting our health together because that helps us be better at our hobby. It really does.
So do you want to share a little piece of that? Because maybe people don't necessarily know, what you got started. How did you get started with all of this?
Well, my husband and I are on Weight Watchers, and this is our 4th time on Weight Watchers. And the reason why is because it works, and we know it works, but it doesn't work unless you work it. So the first time we did it, which was 10 years ago, and my husband lost 100 pounds. I lost 52. We looked great. Of course, we were 10 years younger, and it was awesome. But then we moved from Washington to Texas, and I'm going to try to wrap this up quickly. gained all the weight back, and we kept trying to go back, but it's hard to do that in Texas. The food is just ridiculously good. I mean, we were eating Sipley's donuts and Tex-Mex and trying. So now that we're in Omaha, we've really committed to, getting our health back and really on track to get it better because of this hobby, especially, again, we're sitting down always at the table. There's no exercise. You can't play a board game and move around. So you've got to figure out ways to mediate that. So that's why we went into this health regimen. And so now we're at month 7, I think it is. And we love it because it makes us feel better. We can do more. And so, yeah, it's really important.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, I'm diabetic, so it's helped me a lot.
Great. Mm-hmm. Anyone else, your self-care ritual?
Yes, so I like to walk. I'm in Florida, so I can walk most of the year except for like June and July. And then it's just nasty and like it's just not a good situation. I have to walk at night. So I love books. I love audiobooks. So I will take my audiobook and then go for my walk. And those are my 2 favorite things. I get to do it once. When I'm stressed, though, I can only listen to books I've already read. I cannot take on new content if I'm stressed. I'm not trying to have any like surprise, gotcha, trigger, like somebody, like I can't take a trigger in a book. So I will listen to something I've already listened to before, an author I'm familiar enough with that I'm like, this is not going to stress me. Her stuff is light or, fluffy, so it's going to be fine. And I also love music. That's my other nerddom. So if I'm working, I just turn on my John Williams channel and I'll just listen to whatever the music is, and I'll be like, which Harry Potter movie is this from? Okay, which Star Wars is this from? Which Star Trek? Like, so I can do that all day until my body starts to feel regulated and relaxed and calm. So my nerdy things help me get back to my baseline. So I kind of love it.
Wow, great. I think so I don't sleep well, but
you're a vampire.
I'm trying not to be a vampire, but gaming, I'm a PC gamer. And I learned several years ago that I can play a game and just kind of hit a zone of relaxation where I feel like I've had a few hours of sleep. And so even though I really haven't, I'm doing something that is just putting me in a very calm space. So the World of Warcraft, I mean, you're killing things, but it's relaxing to me.
Okay.
This is a judgment-free zone.
But here again, recently, I started playing The Sims after being away from it for more than 10 years. And during, I think right before the pandemic started, I got it again and just found a love of building houses and finding historic blueprints and recreating historic homes, like colonial homes. And that's what I do because I don't sleep. And the pool.
The pool.
The pool. I don't walk in my neighborhood very much anymore because they put up new houses and things came out of the woods that I couldn't handle anymore. There were wild turkeys back there, fox, raccoon, and I don't know. What are the groundhogs? Groundhogs are huge.
Yeah, you've said enough.
Yeah. And skunks. It was the skunks that did it. When I was walking the path that I usually do a couple of years ago, and the skunk mother had her babies, and she ran up to me, I was like, you know what? You can have the neighborhood. I'm good.
Over wildlife like deforestation, urban infill, all bad.
Right. So now I just go to the pool. So that's my respite. And that was something that I was able to do during the pandemic because they just kind of let us come in with our masks, take your jacket off, get in the pool, get out of the pool, get your coat, get out. So it was, and you're in chlorine, so it kills everything. So I felt safe doing it. There was only a few of us in there. So I'm happy to be in the pool. Anyone else?
You know, I will say what I do love is a hot stone massage. Like if we're talking about self-care, and you know, I was out running wild the other day and going to my favorite spot, my little TJ Maxx spot. They got one here in Newton. All bad for me. All bad for me. But I did a U-turn when I saw that Massage Envy was open. I'm like, oh, we gonna go in there and make an appointment now. Because all over Boston, they're all closed. And then we got this little like wealthy enclave of Chestnut Hill. In Newton, been open through the pandemic the whole time.
Ours has been open the whole time.
Really? Like everything else was closed. But you know, I love their hot stone massages. And then you book a facial too, 3 hours of bliss.
Oh my God, somebody touching my face offended me. I can't take it. So, what was your entry point for nerddom? Was it a book? Was it a movie? Was it a TV show? Was it a game? Was it a combination of things or a person?
It was a combination for me. I mean, I had an older brother and sister who were 7 and 10 years older than me, and when I was growing up, it was Super Friends. We watched a lot of Super Friends, so I was introduced to like comic book stuff really early on. So it was the Wonder Twins in our house. My sister and brother, who were the Wonder Twins. And I don't know if you know much about the Wonder Twins in DC Universe. They had a sidekick that was a monkey named Gleek.
Yep.
I want you to take a wild guess who was Gleek. Yep. It's fine. I was a little bitter about it, but it's fine. But yeah, so I think we did watch a lot of Super Friends. Yeah, I'm not fine. I remind them all the time. So there was a lot of comic books in my house. We watched that, and Star Wars was always on. Like, I don't remember a time in my life as growing up that Star Wars wasn't playing in our house constantly. Star Wars was always playing, to the point that my sister and I still to this day, in fact, part of my self-care is sometimes I just put Star Wars on. I'll just put one of them on and just have it going, whether I'm cooking or I'm doing stuff. I just have it on because for me, it's just, and my sister and I can quote it to each other. Like, it's like, we've watched it so many times. All of her children, even my sister's children, all of them as they were younger, were all somehow a Star Wars character for Halloween. So it was growing up, I was surrounded by that. So I mean, the first things was comic books. I mean, that was mine forever. I mean, that was probably the thing that started me, and then it just went in from there. So
I love that. Yeah. Comic books were really my first way into sci-fi. Spider-Man. I read about this kid named Peter Parker, and I was convinced that he was my cousin and that he would come by and like pick me up and we would go to New York. Like, that was just it. And I remember
her last name is Parker.
Yes, my last name is Parker.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So my brother and I used to ride our bikes. There was a comic shop right on the corner. It was the original Legends on 120th and Maple, or that was 4th Street, 120th and 4th Street. And we used to go in there, and I would pay in quarters because we would steal the money out of the change jar to buy our comics. So we would go in there with a pile of change that weighed us down as we were riding our bikes, but we got what we wanted. And then we also bought like the X-Men cards and the Marvel cards, and we would trade them with kids in the neighborhood.
I used to have those cards.
That was good stuff. I still have those books of cards.
Well, I have to agree with Carla. I don't really consider myself a geek. I really don't. Even though my husband and son keeps telling me that I am, you're a nerd, you're a geek, you're all these things. I'm not. I just happen to like some of the things. I mean, I grew up, my favorite is Star Trek. I love Captain Kirk, Spock. Always watch those in rerun.
It's
They
okay.
they keep
Whatever
telling me
label
It's a safe
you want.
space. This
Whatever
is a
label
safe
you want.
space.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not listening to them. I'm not, but I happen to love it. I love Star Trek. I love that kind of stuff, the Twilight Zone, Star Trek. I mean, all that stuff. I've always liked to watch it. I'll watch the Twilight Zone marathon every New Year's Eve. If they do a Star Trek marathon, I want to watch it. So, I mean, I like that kind of stuff. I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I'm a Star Trek fan. I like the movies, all that. So I don't know. It's just something I liked. I don't know. I've always been a little weird. I think my family's a little on the weird side because I was always been a performer. So I took ballet and I took piano and that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And I went to HSPBA, which for those of you who don't know is High School for Performing and Visual Arts. So they thought all of us were weird. So that's what I did. So I don't know. That's just been me. I don't consider it a geek or a nerd. I like those things. I don't know. And then board gaming. Who knew?
It's a safe space, Starla. It's okay.
Okay.
It's
I know you want me to say I am. I just can't do it.
It's
You
okay.
don't have to.
You don't have to.
When
You
you're
don't-
ready. When
you
you're
don't
ready.
have to. Yeah. But I mean, know that we already know. It's okay.
Yeah,
And we love you, whether you ever say it or
thank
not.
you.
It's
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you. But yeah, I don't know.
I'm
That's from a kid. Yeah.
yeah, no,
Go
I
ahead.
was
I'm
gonna
sorry.
say I kind of am my path and Regina's are kind of similar. And me and Jay talk about this a lot. My sisters were 19, 18, and 8 years older than me. So I was they were like classical musicians and trying to watch my language because I'm a cursor. But so I use profanity. But it was always about like music and musical theater. So I knew I was a theater geek.
Mhm.
Like that part was like known. We wrote poems in my house as a
Yeah.
family. We read poetry to each other. It's really that. It was though we were those kind of nerds. I think the first time I was like, "Oh, this is a great story." Was the Star Wars. Star Wars was my first entree into sci-fi. When I was like, "Oh, I like this story," because that's always been what it is for me. And then fast forward to when I meet my brother, one of my best friends, when I was like 22. He was a huge comic book nerd, and he was like, "Look, you like stories, you must engage in these." And he introduced me to the Marvel universe, DC universe. I've read the Bible. Now I'm hooked. So that's where that's how I've started to like, oh, these are like I missed all this storytelling as a child. But I was a girl, right?
Mhm.
And I didn't have brothers. So that's one of those things that was for boys. And I also got in trouble because I would be with boys playing video games. That damn Atari.
Mhm.
I gamed for a long time. So those boys and stuff. So
Yeah, yes, my siblings were 2018 and 15 when I was born. So my oldest brother, he is an artist, and he started with taking the comic books that he loved. So he's born at a point where Superman is still new and Spider-Man is new. And he had
right.
all of those comics. He had tons of comic books. So as a child, I would just, rifle through his boxes and just, look at the page. I couldn't read anything, but I just remember looking at all of the pages, and he would take characters and create his own characters that were all Black. Now, all of the women had really no clothes on and were scantily clad with metal things on their chests, but they all had, weapons and big afros and all of this. So those were the things that I grew up seeing. So comics were something that was just always around. And then the thing that my siblings all had in common was they loved Star Trek. So whenever there was never any conversation or argument when Star Trek came around, I didn't really get to choose anything after 4 p.m. to watch on television. My choice was Sesame Street. And then after all of that was done, I watched whatever everybody else watched. And it was either going to be a Western or Star Trek or The Twilight Zone. So that's,
good.
And they watch scary movies too, but then they tortured me with that. So I still don't do that. But those were the things that I grew up, just with. And Star Wars was the first movie that I saw that I didn't have nightmares because they tortured me with scary movies. So it was a big deal that I saw Star Wars and I didn't have a nightmare.
What exactly did they do to you, Jay?
Oh, I have all kinds
You
of
still
stories.
don't watch scary movies to this day.
To this day.
I understand.
And I don't have a problem with that.
You couldn't even watch Sleepy Hollow, the TV show.
I tried Sleepy Hollow so hard. She's like, no. Headless Horseman, no.
Such a good show.
It's the best. Mystery.
Minus the last season.
It was
I tried. Mm-hmm. It will take years of therapy to get over that. Just the Headless Horseman. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have that kind of time or money. I'm sorry.
Am I the only child on this call?
Nope. I'm an only child.
Okay, so no one introduced me to this stuff, and I was like, it must have been nice to have some older person telling you, hey, this is cool. I did not have that. I was a band nerd exclusively. That's how I got into good movies, is I was playing those songs in bands and was like, now what? This song is great. What song does this belong to? This is Batman? Okay, well, Batman must be good because his music is great. So, and I would buy merches. I loved classical music. So my parents would be like, this is what you want? And I'm like, yes. So I would just have cassettes. Because, that's what we had back in the day. All kinds of music. And I just love music. And then I started watching the things that the music went to. And I was like, well, this is great. I saw Star Wars late. I was in high school. And I was like, this music is wonderful. And then I finally got into the story. And I'm like, the story is great. I love allegories. I love metaphors. So all of that is good. But the music was the thing that got me into the movies. And then I was a nanny for a long time in college. And the little kids wanted me to read Harry Potter every day. And once I started reading it, I was like, I think I like books. And after that, I was just reading a book a week since, 20 years ago. So I accidentally got into my nerddoms. I'm not a gamer. I've never played games. I think my parents would have bought me a game if I'd asked for one, but I didn't think to ask for one. I play Tetris on my phone sometimes, but that's not, I don't know if that's fully nerdy or not, but that's where I'm at.
Well, for me, I think it was my mom. My mom loved Star Trek. So she would watch it because she liked Lieutenant Uhura. She was always impressed with, her being in this role. She introduced me to shows like Julia, because at her time, when I was born, that was impressive to be a Black woman in those type of roles. And then my dad was into Westerns. And so he would watch, Bonanza and all that. So I still watch those to this day. So I didn't have any cousins I had lots of cousins, but they didn't come watch TV. And as an only child, I would be by myself a lot. So turn the TV on. What's on? Star Trek, and rewind. Batman, the old Batman shows, oh God, I love the old 60s Batman with the purple outfit. Funny as heck. I still love them, so I don't know. I think it was just my mom would watch stuff and I had a lot of time. No one there. I'm watching TV.
Going back to what Steph said, I gotta tell you, John Williams, one of the best scores ever. Legendary. I have the collection. Just brilliant. And you never really had that, I think, before A New Hope. And it was just amazing. It was amazing. I can hear it every time he does a score. I love it.
I love him. Like, I need him not to get canceled for any real dumb reason. Because John Williams has gotten me through a lot. Like, the way he uses French horns, I'm like, you better do it. Like, I just love it. It's great. James Horner is also amazing. I mean,
Yes.
we go another rabbit hole of my music.
Yes.
Also great.
Very good. I was a band nerd too, but I quit after second year because they wanted me to go to band camp, and I didn't want to go. I thought that stuff was boring.
I love band camp.
It was hot. No, it was so hot. And I'm lazy, and I'm sitting there. I had a tenor saxophone. I'm like, no, I ain't marching.
Oh,
Tell them I'm not going. I'm busy.
Oh,
And then they probably
OMG.
See, I was the orchestra. I wasn't in the band because I'm not walking around anywhere. So that's an important distinction. I ain't never putting that hot polyester on. Lord, no.
Yes, no, we used to do those marches like St. Patrick's Day. Like, oh my God. Like, that would kill me. My neck strap hurt, you know? Like, always a little pudgy girl. Like, why you got me holding this tenor saxophone? Like, ain't you
treat like this?
Don't be mad at me because I didn't hit the mark, you know?
I was an orchestra nerd, so yes, I understand the beauty of the scores, and I would choose second violin because I love the melody and the accompaniment. It's the roundness of the song as opposed to, the first violin. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Did everybody get a chance to answer that particular question? Because that kind of leads into what Starla was saying about how does representation touch your nerddom and that entry point?
Yeah. The representation makes all the difference. Again, that's how I got into it, because there were Black women in powerful roles in those particular shows. And so that was something that was intriguing to my mother, because she was always about, women being empowered and doing things that, anybody could do, not being stopped by anything. And so, yeah, that was important. Without those roles, I doubt if I would ever gotten into Star Trek or any of those shows.
I don't know. I always thought that there should be more of, and I still think more of Black and brown people represented throughout sci-fi and also in pop culture. Like, it was never there. It's still not there. And I think that I find it hard. Like, I don't always gravitate towards Geordie LaForge, right? That's not my guy. Like, and Belana Torres got anger issues. So, really sort of finding myself, I don't know that I did that till I was much older, but I gravitated towards the stories and the supernatural elements, because I always thought, like, oh, they can fly, I can fly. Like, if they can do that, I can do it. Hubris. But so much fun, but that's still a problem. Representation still is not there.
It's interesting because for me, I was always attracted to the other. Like, I love puppets. I was a Muppet Show girl. I loved Sesame Street. I still love anything with puppets because I could put myself on those things. Like with Star Wars, I love the Ewoks because I was little and brown and kind of fluffy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, those things, I get them. Like, so for me, it would always be, where am I? And it was usually the other, or the thing that was not human, that that had a soul outside of whiteness. So though that was always my entry point as a young person. It's like, oh, and then being a theater nerd, I was lucky. I was starting my acting career at a time where there was Phyllis Hyman on Broadway, where Nell Carter was on Broadway. Jennifer Holliday, who I've had cancer and it hurt my soul, but I saw her in Dreamgirls. You know, like I was so that was going on in theater when I in the late 70s, early 80s, whatever, dating myself. But in media, I was always looking for other. I was always looking for the that little creature that I was like, oh, I can relate to them and that. So that was a thing for me when I was younger. I didn't know what it was until I got a little older. It was like, oh, because you couldn't relate to these white people. You were raised on the south side of Chicago. You don't know nothing about them. So, but Oscar, I get his problem. He's in a large. I get Oscar. Oscar is angry, and he has every right to be. And Mr. Snuffleupagus was my friend. And the fact that people can see him now is really upsetting. That everybody can see Snuffy.
Oscar was a victim of gentrification, which is what I said when I was like,
once the white people moved in,
he got priced out of his home.
Oh my God.
Yes, he was. He was.
That's a t-shirt. Right there.
That is a t-shirt.
That is a t-shirt.
Just saying. So I gotta go back to music, and my first band teacher was Black, and he really lifted us up. I did not get what he was doing. I was like, you are irritating me, old man. Why is you trying to make me great all the time? And he was just like, listen, like, you gonna be great. I'm like, calm down. Like, I play when I want to. Like, I'm not doing the marching band. Leave me alone. It's polyester. But seeing someone appreciate all kinds of music let me know that I could appreciate all kinds of music. And we could absolutely love classical music. And then the band could play some go-go. And if anybody is from the DMV area, they know that go-go is amazing. And just to have that diversity of like, I can do all of that. And this Black body is great. And bands are one of the more diverse spaces that you're going to be in. Like, you're going to have kids who have all kinds of different backgrounds. Kids who we had lots of students in Virginia where new to speaking English, but we all could play the instruments together. And I love that piece of like, I really can't have a conversation with you. We're going to play this song together today. And that's kind of magical. I always just see myself in the thing. Like, I wasn't represented in Star Wars, but I was like, I could do that. I could wear that. Like, I have no problem putting myself in the thing. Like, I put myself in the book. When the authors like they were white, and I was like, shut your mouth. That's not how they were in my head. Like, representation matters, but also like, I don't care.
But imagination matters too.
You know, but it does matter, and I agree with that. But like you said, you put yourself in those situations regardless. I'm a big black and white movies buff, so all of those old black and white movies, I love Marilyn Monroe and the Tony Curtis and all those old movies. We weren't there, and if we were there, we were maids or butlers or something like that. But I still fell in love with the story, the artistry, and we had to. I mean, because there was no other option. If you want to watch the kind of movie, this is it. So you have to just suspend whatever reality is out there and say, I can do this and I can live that life, Breakfast at Tiffany's or whatever the case may be. So yeah, we had no choice because there were a lot of options out there for us. We have a lot of black movies from that time period. You got The Stormy Weather, you've got Lena Horne and all those, but then they have a whole nother group of movies that we were not in major roles, but you still wanted to enjoy it.
Right.
I could get with some Cary Grant and some Betty Davis. They made some good
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Can I tell you the Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire movies have gotten me through more than one New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Yes, love them.
Those movies were huge. It was artistry,
Yes.
And American in Paris.
Yes.
Oh, I love that movie. It's funny because, and I told Jade a little bit about my background. I grew up in a town where where I was it in the color wheel. Like it was it. Our family was it. Like you see that pie chart and it's like all Caucasian. And then you see like this like line. That was my family. That was it.
Poor
So
baby.
and the thing is my family moved us away a lot from my dad's and my mom's family and stuff. So a lot of my cousins, the only time I would interact with kids that were Hispanic, Mexican, anything is when we go visit family. Otherwise, all my every influence around me was just all white people. That's all I had around me. And so when I was looking at these movies and I was watching these shows, you know, the funny thing is I wasn't always searching for myself sometimes, which is crazy because when I look back on it, and this has been thoughts I've been thinking about more recently, just because of the conversations I hear from this show and everything, I'm like, I was looking at the strong women in those shows. That's what I was looking at. So like Wonder Woman to this day is still, I mean, Linda Carter is everything to me. And in fact, when I said she appeared in this newest Wonder Woman movie, my husband will attest to this. I was a hot mess. I was crying because I'm like, it's Linda Carter. I've already said if I ever met her, I'm going to need somebody who's going to have to be with me to calm me down because I'm going to be a mess. And I don't know if a lot of people know that Linda Carter is of Mexican descent. And so her mother was Mexican and she's from Mexico. And the funny thing is I didn't know that for the longest time. When I found out, I said, I knew it. There's a reason. Knew there was a reason why I just knew it. But the thing is that when I look back out of all the shows, you know, she was the only one. She was brunette. She didn't look like a lot of the other leading ladies that were in half the shows that I watched. She just wasn't. She was different. And that's what I think I tended to gravitate towards. I was looking at women that were not that typical everything, you know, and I think that's what I was looking for. I mean, and even in Star Wars, Carrie Fisher, I mean, she was amazing. She was who she was. She never like ever hid from who she was. And she was just, I love that about that. So I mean, growing up for me, it's kind of sad in some ways, but at the same time, I wasn't always looking for me. And when I did find somebody like me, I was like, look at that. That's amazing. Like I get excited about that kind of stuff, but I was always looking for those strong women leads, but the strong women leads that weren't like other women. Like they were different. There was something different about them. They weren't what you would assume that, you know, the typical white, blonde, blue eye, whatever. They were brunette. They had different color eyes. They were curvier. They were not the same size. They were always different. That's what I was gravitating towards each time. And I never realized that until this past year when I was really like I said, the conversations on here just made me relook at all that stuff. And I'm going, so that's what I was looking for that. I was looking for someone that was not always what I had around me at the time. That's what all I had around me at the time.
You know, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say that I think my parents did do a good job of making us like aware of pop culture. Like we're a pop culture family. Like my brother has like, I think 500 movies on his iTunes account. And he kicked me off. So I'm real pissed about that. Like I buy none of that. And I love to watch it. He buy the new stuff. But when we got rid of the beta and we got a new VHS, this newfangled thing, when my dad brought it home, we only had 2 movies. So we had Beat Street and White Knights. I don't know if you guys have seen White Knights. Mikhail Baryshnikov, Gregory Hines.
Yeah.
Dance scene. Yeah. He was up, you know, like it was so good. And then in Beat Streets, like who couldn't love it? So like that's what started us like on the pop culture path. Like those are the two movies that we know word for word. Like that's my jam.
Beat Street, the king of the beat. You see me rocking that beat from across the street. Ha ha ha. Come on now. Don't start. I will pile a piece of cardboard right here in my dining room.
There you go.
I think I was always looking for the Black people. always wondering where the Black people were, because they were never in anything that I was looking at. I love Excalibur. I don't know Black people in Excalibur. And I love any show that shows medieval Europe. And anything with Vikings and anything with pirates. I think it's interesting that, you know, when I was doing my research, I did Caribbean studies because I was like, I know that there are some Black pirates. I know that we're there. It's like I was still looking for all of those things that I was thinking about when I was a kid. I know that we're in these spaces. And I tell my students when we're talking about maroon colonies that the scene in, I think it's the second Pirates of the Caribbean, when Captain Jack is in the boat and he's going to see Tia Dalma in the shack in the swamp, and it's really dark, and then you start to see little bits of light, and then you see all these Black people in the water and in the trees, and I screamed in the theater, "It's a maroon colony!" It's like, I knew we were there all along. It was like the vindication. It's like, I told you, I knew that we were there. It's just the other movies didn't really tell an accurate portrayal of what history really was. So I was always looking for where we were. And there were Black tutors too. So that's a whole nother, a whole nother thing. Now, Gandhi, that's a different situation. But because I spent a summer thinking that I was Indian and wearing a sari.
This is a safe
No
space.
judgment. No judgment.
I was a latchkey kid.
We're admitting things. Yes. I didn't think that. Oh, what'd you say, Carla?
No, I just said everyone's being open.
I'm going to be open. I didn't think that Black people were actors. Like, I just assumed because I'd watched AMC and TMC, that wasn't a career path we were interested in. So then I saw Roots and I was like, hold up. Where did they find all these people? Like, where did all of these people come from? They seem to be doing a good job. Help me make it make sense. So I just
gosh.
Which version of Roots?
When I saw the first one, let me tell you, my mom, when I was the only Black kid in my whole grade, they called her up. They were like, maybe Stephanie shouldn't finish watching it. Like, Stephanie's not in a good space right now. I was not in a good space. We invented the stoplight. Like, I was just not in a good space. Like, I was angry about a lot of things. But I was most angry because I was like, so we can be actors? Because for a long time, I just thought that just wasn't a field we were interested in. And then I was kind of hot. I'm like, so we could have been in all these movies. Because I've been doing colorblind casting for 40 years. So I'm like, people are like just now getting into it in Bridgerton. And they're like, oh, we can do this. Y'all could have been done this. Like, we've been doing it as people of color watching it the whole time.
Right. Yep.
It was 753,822 Negroes in Roots. Every Black person that ever acted was in Roots. And it was jarring to the young Black mind. Like, it is 11 million Negroes. And all looking at me. How did this? It was that, and when The Wiz came out.
Oh, yeah.
Full paradigm shifts. I was like,
The
well,
Wiz.
Come on now. Sirs and man.
I didn't see The Wizard of Oz till I was like 15. I didn't know it existed.
Oh.
I watched The Wiz. I didn't watch The Wizard of Oz. Like, we always watched The Wiz.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about, Dorothy. Like, you didn't do that. And where The Wiz is Black. Like,
the Wiz was, it can get any kind of criticism that can be thrown at it. I don't care. I love The Wiz. I love all of the songs. The Lion and his entry song is still my favorite. I used to call my sister Eveline, only when she was
I can tell you, I have won a many talent show singing home. So thank you,
Oh,
Wiz.
I
When
will
I
tell
think of
you,
home, yes.
when my mom was in hospice care, we
Mhm.
played Home. Her
Oh,
last day. Like we
Yes.
played Home on repeat. Like it's that deep.
Yes.
It's a
Love
beautiful
that song.
song.
That song, it'll tear up an audience
Beautiful
if you know
song.
how to sing it. It's a beautiful
Oh
song.
yes,
Mm, yeah.
yeah.
it was a great soundtrack.
Hmm.
The live
It's
soundtrack, the
awesome.
stage, and the film, beautiful
Yeah.
soundtracks
Yes.
because they're different.
I think Stephanie, did you have any questions? I'm gonna ask one more. What other movie hits you like The Wiz?
Hmm.
Is
The
there
Color
another
Purple.
one?
The Color Purple.
Do you have stories around The Color Purple
I,
and viewing
I
it?
was I was 12. I had read the book because nerd. Um, and that was the first time that my black story in my head matched the black story that I saw. Like what I read in the book, and all of those people looked like Whoopi Goldberg, looked like Celie, looked in my head. And I remember because the movie had come out and we didn't go to the theater to see it. My sister got me the videotape and I watched it to the point where my sister had to just go to the video store and buy it. Like she's never going to return it. She's never giving it back. So I just need to purchase this for her. And I'm certain I wore it completely out because it was a story about Black women. And I was raised, and those were the women in my family. Like we're from Mississippi. Like I knew those people. And and the colors and the magic of the cinema. That is that The Wiz was the same way for me. And until very recently, and I know some of us disagree, but Lovecraft Country was like that for me because that was the first time my culture and the sci-fi kind of held each other. It's like, oh, that shit's pretty, and I know these people. Again, it's shot here. It was shot in a lot of the story takes place in Chicago, so I know the neighborhood. So like they shot that on Lake Street. So yeah, so that's the one that most recently I was like, oh yeah, I like this, I like that.
Great.
Do my dance.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to justify mine, but I'm just gonna say it because it is what it is. It's when Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella with Whoopi Goldberg and Whitney and Brandy, because I had loved the made-for-TV one that was like old, and I love those songs. And so when Brandy comes out singing these songs that I love, and I said, I knew anybody could be Cinderella. It was a minute when I was just like, I told you anybody could play this. Like I told you when I saw Roots that anybody could play this character. Whoopi Goldberg was so good in that. Like her timing was great. And it was just the colorblind thing I'd been waiting for this whole time in storytelling that I just didn't think was ever going to happen. And then it happened. And Whitney Houston was just in that gold and she was shining and she was shining. And it was just great. And I loved it. And I was like, I knew we could be anything. I knew we could be it together. Like, I don't need it to be an all Black cast. I love that there was an Asian lead. Like, I don't know that we've seen a lot of we're waiting for Shang-Chi to come out. Like, it's not. Right. So like, that brought me joy. So that's one of those things. I own the VHS, got the DVD, it's on Disney Plus. My daughter's like, do we have to watch it every weekend? I'm like, for the culture, we do. So that's where I am. But that's my movie.
You know, I will say those movies of the week, like the Cinderella, like the Odyssey was amazing. That's still one of my favorites. Merlin was amazing. Like when they were doing those mini-series, like that's my jam. Like I still have both of those on Amazon. Thank you very much. $6.99. And I will throw in The Noble House. Oh, with a young Pierce Brosnan. It is so good. I am still dreaming about like this chocolate private equity M&A guy who like takes over companies. I'm gonna meet him at Harvard. That's just it. But anyway, and we're gonna get married and have cute chocolate babies. So anyway, but I will tell you that one movie that like sparks joy in me, like The Wiz, for various different reasons, just because I think the cinematography is so good and there's that standard shot. But Malcolm X, like that is such a good like celebration of Blackness, like of Black people. And it just, Denzel got robbed on Oscar night, but we're not even gonna talk about that. If you remember, I first saw that film at Indian Hills Theater in Omaha, okay? And we had an intermission, and I was like, man, I can't wait to get back in there. And like, oh my God, they are surrounded by white people who are looking uncomfortable. They don't know why he put his head in the toilet, but I'm loving it. I'm like, you know what? My hair would be burning too. But that is one film that I think is a celebration of Blackness. It's similar to Black Panther being a celebration of Blackness.
Yeah. But for me, if I'm going to stick with musicals, because I have a ton of movies I could throw at you, because I loved movies and I love watching them. I'm a Marvel person too. I mean, I know Jade knows that, but I'm a Marvel person. But I'm going to tell you one of my favorites that I've watched probably 20 or 30 times. I've had Grant watch it at least 5 or 6 times. That's Dreamgirls. Love Dreamgirls. And I
Which
love
version?
it again. The only version.
Well, there is only one.
The movie with Jennifer Hudson, Beyonce, Dreamgirls. That movie was so gorgeous.
Because you can't see the Broadway production.
Yeah, we were in Seattle. We saw it, and I have to see it again and again. I went to the theater at least 3 times and saw it. Then when it came out, we bought it. Love that movie. So well done. Jamie Foxx and Eddie Murphy. Who knew he could sing? Eddie Murphy played that role and tore it up. Love it. Love it.
Eddie Murphy should have won an Oscar for that movie.
Yeah, he was great.
He was so good in that movie.
And if you know the stage production, you know what he gave to that role, what he put on that role, because that ain't on paper. What he did is not on paper.
He was just awesome.
Gorgeous.
Fantastic.
Absolutely gorgeous performance.
Yeah.
I saw Dreamgirls in New York, and there's never anything like it. Like the film can't compare. Like that's why, like it just like that's a show that gets you. Like I saw that, and then I remember seeing Fosse, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that was some good stuff. But anyway, I digress. Yes, Dreamgirls.
Cabaret.
Yes.
Welcome and bienvenue. Welcome.
I do want to throw out one more movie on the representation tip, because my mother was addicted, and me and my sister watched every Easter. Jesus Christ Superstar. Like when Steph talks about color blind, color conscious casting, that was magical. That soundtrack, I listen to the soundtrack.
I do too.
Are you talking about the one with John Legend?
No. The movie,
ma'am.
Jesus Christ
1973. Ben Vereen as Judas. Well,
now,
he was
let
Judas
me tell you,
on Broadway.
Yeah. That movie, I would wake up. I was in high school. Again, I'm at HSPVA, so of course this is what we did. We did musicals. We did Joseph's Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And the thing with Dreamgirls, in that musical, I was in the Supremes play Egypt. So we did the Supremes. We had the Supremes. Look, I have to show you the picture with the wigs and all that. So Dreamgirls is really touches me when I see it. But that movie, I would set my clock. It came on one time at 3 a.m. And I think I was 16 years old at the time. And I told my mom, I got to see it. So I set the clock at 3 in the morning. She said, you know, you got to go to school at 6. I said, yes, but I got to watch Jesus Christ Superstar. I love those songs. I don't know how to love him. Oh my God. One of my favorites. Oh, yes. So anyway,
In
Jesus Christ
Gethsemane.
Superstar.
Oh,
Okay.
Learning
Yeah.
so much.
I'm telling y'all, we talking about
Yeah.
musicals. I'll break out and start singing. Don't make me.
Listen,
Well, see,
you're a nerd.
then I don't feel so bad because last
We should have
week,
a musical here.
after I finished watching
Yeah.
The Bad Batch and everything else on Marvel, I saw that Oklahoma had dropped on Disney Plus.
It sure did.
And I was like, I'm getting
Everything's
ready
up
to
to
watch
date in Kansas City.
Oklahoma.
Gotta watch Oklahoma. 7 Brides for 7 Brothers.
Seven Brides. Oh my gosh, we watched that one. Love that one.
And you know,
Fiddler on the
the whole time I'm watching Oklahoma, I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. Oh my God, where are the black people? Where are the indigenous people? But you know what? Oklahoma. Oh my God.
Oklahoma. Okay.
Like I can't take it. I cannot stop myself.
Listen, I will do it. I will go here. Me and Starla starting to rock back and forth. This is about to get bad.
You saw that, didn't you? You saw that.
Musicals. Like,
And if the music man, if the music man was on, I would have watched. I looked for it. It's like, is the music man on here?
It
It's
was
not.
just Oklahoma.
Because that's one that I actually had the CD. I only had a few. I didn't have a whole lot of. Well, I did have a lot of CDs, but my musical collection was the soundtrack for The Wiz, the soundtrack for Dreamgirls, which was solely based on the Tony. They do the Tony. They play a piece of the musical at the Tony. That's the only thing I ever seen.
And they did the beginning, the part when she gets fired. And I'm telling you, on that, I was watching it like this.
Right. And because I would watch the Tonys every year. And I was like, what is this Dreamgirls? And so as soon as I saved up some money, I had the soundtrack. So I had never seen the play before, but I knew the story because I had the soundtrack and the Music Man in Oklahoma. So I didn't have
I need to lift up that Marcus mentioned the all-black production of Oklahoma and The Watchmen. And that was a situation, like I did have feels when I saw that. I was like, I'm so confused. But what I love that's happening is in the diversity of our women of color nerdness is that we love all kinds of different things. Like the fact that I have met some other women of color who love Seven Breaths. Y'all know it's a great movie.
That's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Don't get me to start singing the songs from Fiddler on the Roof. Now, I will.
No, you know which one
if I were a rich man.
So we're missing the best little whorehouse in Texas.
Oh, that was
oh my gosh.
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton.
I love me some Dolly.
I love Dolly.
Because this is my song. Texas has a whorehouse in it.
I went to see that in Houston, live production. And at the time, I went with the guy who was white. And he's going to this musical. He's in his cowboy outfit. And he is with a black girl at the Best Whorehouse in Texas. Now, mind you, I know I'm the only black person in this audience. I didn't see nobody else black there. But I had a good time, had a blast. This is before I met my husband. He knows. So anyway.
We get him to be in the comments, though.
Yeah, I went with the guy who was white to see the live production that played in Houston. I'm dressed in my cute little ruffle dress, and he's got on cowboy boots, and it was a mess. But we had fun.
Oh yeah,
we had fun. So anyway,
and I do the Rocky Horror Picture Show every year.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it was at band camp that I discovered Rocky Horror Picture Show. And we decided to dress up and go to one of those midnight movies.
Oh, nice.
At Dundee. It was so good.
So much fun.
Oh my goodness.
So much fun.
Yeah, I didn't know any other black people that did that. But if I had known anybody that had done that, I would have been at Rocky Horror Picture Show Midnight Show.
Oh yes.
With my raincoat on, I've gone with my raincoat so that I might sit close to the foolery. Yes, it's a blast. It is a blast.
What has become clear to me is we need to have a whole show on the theater. And I think that I would love to nominate Starla and Carla to lead us in the theater conversation. Because that's a nerddom and we need to explore it.
Love it.
Oh my God. You don't even have to ask me twice. Wonder Starla Carla powers activate.
I would love that.
Of the sequence dress. Shape of a wing.
Oh man, that would be great. Yes, done. You're doing it.
Yes, love it, love it, love it.
Great.
Let's do it.
Steph, did you have any other questions?
You know, I had questions, but I think I'm going to table them, and I think they can be part of their own separate conversation.
Okay.
And really, because what Regina said has pushed me to think it needs to be its own full conversation. In that, how are women written in sci-fi and fantasy? And I would love for us to dissect sometimes when women were written brilliantly, and when they were trash. I think that's a whole, like, it doesn't fit right now. So I feel like that's a whole conversation we could have at some other time, since we're doing this quarterly, because we just need this space where we can just talk about things freely and not feel judged or attacked. So I'm loving it. Yeah. I'm loving it. I am. So I'm just going to hold that for later.
That sounds like a great idea.
Hashtag no splinters.
I have one last question. Okay, so the world has changed in this 21st century as we are adult women. And there are lots of things. There are toys, there are dolls that I never had access to. There are lots of things out there that are a part of pop culture. What one thing would you send back to your 8 or 10-year-old self, or 12-year-old self, or 14-year-old self?
Like, I know the answer so fast.
I would send Carla Jr. the YouTube. Like, I would send her the internet with the YouTube. Like, all she needs is the YouTube. The rabbit holes I have gone down musically. The rabbit holes I've gone down. I went on this whole thing one night where I was watching old episodes of Soap.
Oh my God. I loved that show.
It was hilarious.
I forgot about that show. That's
hilarious.
This story of two sisters.
That Carla Jr. would get the internet with YouTube.
Okay.
Well, for me personally, I would have had a cell phone.
Okay. You're going to send her a cell phone.
I needed a cell phone.
Okay.
Talk to somebody.
Like, now flip. It
would definitely probably be a flip phone, just so I could just talk to somebody.
You want to keep tabs on her?
So
send
funny.
a little message.
I couldn't send Stephanie Jr. TikTok because she'd be like, there's a Black Fairy Day. Like, what? She would get no work done. She wouldn't graduate. So no, I wouldn't give her TikTok. What I would send is coloring books. Like, we now have coloring books with like afros and black hair, and we've got colored pencils that are like my mom's complexion and my complexion and my dad's complexion. Like, I could have been more comfortable with my shade of brown had I been able to color my shade of brown, but my options were white, yellow, and that really bad beige, and I was like, I just am black, right? And so I would have sent Stephanie some colored pencils and kept that girl off the TikTok because it wouldn't have been good.
You know, along those lines, Steph, you know, what was really insulting to me was flesh color. Because flesh color was not our color.
No,
so I would ask my mom, it's like, why is this called flesh? You know, it doesn't match. You know, that was an insult to me. But that's another topic.
Yeah. Especially when you danced back in the day, when you had in dance classes and things, and it was either that flesh or that pink.
They They
Every
just got the tights
That they
for
did.
different skin colors.
Yeah.
They were
Like
horrible
in
back
the
in the
last
day.
2-3 years.
I was mortified every time I hit a stage because I'm like, this doesn't.
Mhm.
Or my dad would drive all around Virginia trying to find this one brand that had like a tan color, and he'd buy all of them. And he's like, "Will this work through the whole season?" I'm like, "No, but like, thank you." Like that's trauma for no reason.
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe I
Right.
said
I
myself some
agree.
flesh colored tights. I changed my answer. Flesh colored tights.
We could have used those back in the day. Yeah.
Yes.
Regina, Julia?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Wonder
Julia, 'cause
Woman
I don't
outfit?
know.
You know,
Wonder Woman outfit, yeah.
I wouldn't send her anything. I would send her a note because like if we had Facebook when I was in school, oh hell no. Like no, it would not
I
have
would have
worked
gotten
in my
anything
favor.
done.
I would just tell little Jules that it is okay to be different and weird and unique and all up in your feels sometimes. And it's okay to have social anxiety sometimes. Like you will get through it, you will survive. I would put that on a large card for her and say, read this all damn day. Especially when they talk about your box braids and say it's horsehair. Not. Don't touch it.
That is no.
Jay, there's a good comment. I want to mention that's in the comments. Someone would send themselves a note with a picture, yes, of Kamala and Michelle. Like, yo, this gonna happen.
Oh.
I love it.
Yes,
Oh,
and
that's
that is
nice.
Michaela Bradley, Painted Wolf Studio. The person that has designed AfroCon for 2020 and
Oh, okay.
2021, and our new crests that we
I'm
have.
obsessed with you. Just so you know.
Awesome.
Yes. Brilliant work. Brilliant.
So, Regina, you already had Wonder Woman costumes.
I did. I had my Wonder Woman underoos that I wore. And my mom made me foil. My mom made me foil bracelets. She made it out of foil and my little tiara all the time. That's what I wore. You know, I think I'm going to probably go along the same lines as Julia. I don't, there's a lot of stuff that I couldn't think of that would change it because at the end of the day, I mean, I love the stuff that I love, but I think I would go back. I would write a note to myself saying, you know, when you were in junior high and at high school, when it's the most awkward, and it's the most awkward, especially when your hair is not the same as the other girls in the school, because my hair frizzed out. That's just what her hair was, frizzy and everything. And I was in between the stages of being, because when I was a child, I was really dark. Like I was a dark brown child. But as I grew older, I started becoming like my mother's side, where I became the pale Mexican. And so I was in between that stage where I wasn't exactly that. I was I don't know. I remember thinking at the time that I definitely did not look like everyone else, and it was noticeable, and I felt it. And I remember like I liked all this nerdy stuff, and I couldn't tell anyone really about it. So I'd like to like send a note to myself and just say, that stuff that, you know, that you think is so embarrassing, it's huge now. Like all of that stuff is huge. And those people that thought it was weird, they love that stuff now. So they have no idea what they're missing right now, and that you are already in the know of. Like, you know, before they knew. So you're fine. It's going to be all right. You're going to be fine.
Love that.
I love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think I'm torn between two things, because little Jade lived in this fantasy world and loved fantasy and would have loved Dungeons and Dragons and would have been amazing at storytelling in Dungeons and Dragons. But my parents were Baptist, and that was of the devil.
It's the devil's work.
That was not an option. So I'm torn between sending little Jade Dungeons and Dragon campaign books and be like, you can still love the Lord and
Right.
play Dungeons and Dragons. It's okay. Or, so May the 4th was last Tuesday. And generally for Halloween, I worked in school. I was always a Jedi. I'm always a black Jedi. And I always end up borrowing some kid's lightsaber because, I'm an adult now. I don't have a lightsaber. And I never got one as a kid because my nephews got lightsabers, but they were for boys, not for girls. Well, I have a lightsaber now. So I would send that back to little Jade and tell her that it is okay. All of these things that they say are for boys are not just for boys. You can like and love them too. If you want those cars, it doesn't matter that little girls don't play with Matchbox cars. You can have those cars too. So that's what I
have to say something about that, Jade. That you can send yourself the lightsaber, but if you send yourself those campaign books, living in a Baptist house, you're gonna get a butt whooping. I'll just tell you right now, you're gonna get a butt whooping. So to keep you from getting a butt whooping, you gotta go with the lightsaber.
I know, that's why I said I was
You're
torn.
gonna get a butt whooping for sure.
Because I remember how Ella Jean was when I was 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta go with the lightsaber.
She's almost 90 and she hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the lightsaber is probably the
safest. That's the safest thing.
Yeah, you're right. Good looking out.
Keep Jade Jr. alive.
I know she got a lot of living to do.
No, you can't send her anything to the past that would change her future.
Yeah. It mess up the loop. Like pre-snap.
Like you can't do that because it would mess up the time continuum.
Oh my God.
This is a real nerd group right here. See?
Right.
We splintered ourselves off now.
Right. And we're back. See? Full circle.
Full circle.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining. This was beautiful. This was great.
It was. Yes. It was fun.
And I'm thankful you all came. Just go around real quick and tell people where they can find you if you want to be found. If you don't, that's okay. Safe space.
Safe space. Just whenever you will find me, whenever Jade invites me to another one of these things, that's where you'll find me.
And you'll also see her at AfroCon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. She's the volunteer. She's the volunteer coordinator for logistics. Oh.
I see you. I see you. Okay. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Clubhouse at JJParker00. Do not look for me on Facebook because it's been like 10 years. And until there's a natural disaster, I don't go up on there. Okay? So Clubhouse, Twitter, hit me up.
All right. Starla.
Well, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you're in Omaha, you can catch us on Cox Channel 22, KPAL, Our Family Plays Games. And we talk about games, board games.
That's right. Steph, can we find you now? Are you on the TikTok?
I'm on TikTok now, but I forgot my name already. So I'm gonna have it the next time. I'm gonna have it ready. So I'll be talking about some cool nerdy things, some cosplay, and some lifting up other women of color on that platform.
Awesome. And our resident philosopher.
Well, you can find me somewhere giving my opinion on Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter machine as Carla Stillwell or Miss Stillwell 6049. You can also go to my organization's website, www.thestillwellinstitute.org, and see some of the cool Black art that we have been engaging in and are getting ready for our festival We're going to do our big street fair this year on August 21st. So there'll be more to come about that. That's what you're finding. And anywhere the House of Afros, Capes, and Critters, I will be there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We will see you next Monday for another LXN review. What that is, I don't remember yet, but we'll see you next Monday. Oh, that's right. That's right. Ooh, the Nevers. Oh my gosh. It was really good. It was really good yesterday. Okay. The Nevers next week. All right. Good night.
Bye, everybody.